Hello, hello, my lovelies. Today we are going to dive in and look at what happens when we have decimals in our divisors. All right, yesterday we did decimals in our dividends. You guys did a fantastic job. We really found out that when we have a decimal in our dividend, it really doesn't make a difference as long as we remember to place that decimal in the same place value line as our quotient. So we're just going to have the decimal in the dividend and the decimal in the quotient in the same spot. Today we're going to look at something a little bit different. So when we have a decimal in the divisor, we cannot start dividing until we get it out. All right, you guys have probably been over there in distance learning land being like, oh my gosh, just let us divide, woman. Stop making us do fractions. But these fractions are so important for what we're going to do right now. So let's take a look at what happens when we write this division sentence as a fraction. We are going to have 2 divided by 5/10 equals n. We can have as many decimals as we want in the numerator. Just kidding, you can only have one decimal. But we can have them. They are great there. I'm going to do a little smiley face. We can have decimals up here. We cannot have decimals down here. It's just not going to work. Once we get a number below 1, we start to have all sorts of weird stuff. Some of you may think back to when we did some fractions and we did some dividing of fractions, and we didn't divide those fractions. Instead, we changed the fraction, we used the reciprocal, and then we multiplied. And so there's a reason that when we get to a number below 1, we're not necessarily going to divide the same way that we normally would. Instead, what we're going to do is we are going to use an equivalent fraction. Yay! So what we need to do is figure out what can we multiply these by to get a fraction that doesn't have a decimal in the denominator. So right away, there's tons of options here, guys, but right away we know from place value, think back to your place value chart, blah, 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 that if you multiply any number, let's say here's your ones, your tenths, your hundredths, blah, 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 and here's your decimal. So if we have 5/10 and we want to get that to a whole number, all we need to do is multiply by 10. All right, that's a beautiful picture. I'm going to get rid of that. So anytime we have these decimals, you can always multiply by a variety of numbers. There's always going to be more than one answer, but the easiest thing to do is multiply by 10. If we multiply 5/10 by 10, it becomes 5. And we have to remember the golden rule of equivalent fractions. Whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So 2 times 10 is 20. All right, that's beautiful. Now you might choose to simplify this fraction, or you might choose to do some division. 20 divided by 5. 20 divided by 5. 20 divided by 5. However you want to write it. 20 divided by 5. They're all going to equal 4. Yay! We did it! That was beautiful, team members. So let's take a look at what this really means. All right, when we are looking at 2 divided by 5/10, well, I know that 5/10 is equal to 1/2. So really what we're talking about here, I just want to show you guys what this looks like in picture form. Think about it like I have 2 cookies, delicious, and I want to know how many halves of cookies I have. If I have 2 cookies, how many halves do I have? Halves do I have? Blech. Beautiful. This could be a great video. So how many halves can fit into these 2 cookies? So I could even draw that. There we go. I made halves of this cookie and halves of these cookies, and I could count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 halves can fit into 2 cookies. That matches my answer over here. And this is just one way to conceptualize or think about what that really means. Keep in mind that when we have this A divided by B equals C, to check our work, we do C times B equals A. We always just go backwards. So we had 4 as our quotient here. Bloop, bloop. So 4 times 5/10 should equal 2. Let's just check that really quickly. 5 times 4 is 20. We've got a 0 here, so we don't need to worry about that. And we have 1/10 here, 1/10 place value in our factors. So we need to bring our decimal over. I should have made a little more room for that. Anyway, that is going to equal 2.0, which equals 2. Da, 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 da. Beautiful, beautiful work, team members. So this is how we are going to be working with dividing when we have a, oh, I want to move this around. When we have a decimal divisor. And the biggest thing I want you guys to keep in mind is this part right here. Okay? We need to take our division, write it in a fraction form, and then we need to convert it to an equivalent fraction that has no decimal in the denominator. Beautiful job, team members. Thank you very much. I'll be at you with one super quick video after this, just showing you a more challenging problem. That one's going to be much quicker, and I'm just going to fly through it so you guys have an example. So be on the lookout for that. Miss you guys lots. Love you. Have a wonderful day. I hope you are learning a lot in distance learning. Okay, bye.